It is going to be Ashe and Aatrox on the bench first, as OpTic will be your blue side team. Liquid on that red side here for phase 1. We'll see how they have for each other.
Yeah, and it's interesting to talk about kind of the remaining schedule for these two teams because they actually play, I believe, pretty much the same opponents. OpTic have to play Liquid, Echo Fox, TSM, and 100 Thieves. They play the top 3 teams in the league with Fox, TL, and 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
And so OpTic, there are no easy games left for them, right? That streak that they had were against a lot of the teams at the bottom. It was broken by Clutch, and so in order to keep in playoffs, they have to kind of play above the level that they've been showing so far in the standings. Whereas TL play OpTic, then they play 100 Thieves, Fox, and TSM. They have pretty much the exact same schedule, except of course you can't play yourself in the standings.
Absolutely. OpTic have their work cut out for them, man. It's not easy being green, and they're going to have to attempt it the rest of the split, as they've already endured the first half. Pretty well, too, coming back quite strong with their small changes. A Nocturne is banned out, and the Varus as well. Let's see what OpTic Gaming prioritizes.
There's Rakan for Xayah Rakan. There's also Akali. And then I was going to say, Zoe and Akali are the 2 other ones that I think may get picked up.
The Akali of Evil.
Good. But powerOfEvil is always somebody to play those things that are a little out of the box.
Oh,
so
heck yeah.
This will be the first time we're seeing the new Akali in the North American LCS. It was played in the Academy League, and it was played over in Europe. It's actually quite a strong champion, but you had to have put the reps in on it in scrims and also in solo queue, because if you're just picking it up, it has a lot of mechanics in there that are very unique to her in her in and out pattern.
Obscure?
Yeah, obscure mechanic, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Rakan. And it is, like, Rakan goes over. Akali has such priority for OpTic here to say we can win with this, that a Xayah Rakan goes over to Team Liquid to start things off.
Which is interesting because you would potentially pick a Rakan, force Team Liquid to pick up something else.
Right.
If they pick Akali there.
There's so many more variables with just picking the Rakan that help you.
Yeah, and basically it's OpTic throwing down the gauntlet saying there aren't any counters to the Akali. So if Team Liquid are able to pick something up like a Malzahar or something like that, potentially put pressure on it in the early parts of the game and also lock her down later.
Oh, ooh. I mean, he's known to do it, but you gotta always just give it the good ooh when he locks it in. Arrow's gonna be bringing back the Draven for this game. He's had it a few other times, but not this split.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go look for his overall record on this champion.
Please do. I figured we actually had one during the summer here, but no, it's been Jhin, Ezreal, Xayah, Lucian, Varus, and one of that Heimerdinger games.
Okay, so this is why it doesn't jump out to me. Out of his top 10 ADs, it's his worst win rate with 27%. His next lowest is 46%. So 11 games on the champion. Looks like he's won about two of them in that time, or 3 of them actually. 3 and 8 would be his overall record on the Draven. But it's just a lane dominant champion who's gonna have
Really,
Kench.
it's a good point, a good way to put it. They want to win the lane. Safety there for him. Now Galio gets locked in here. A lot of team fight prowess coming from Team Liquid.
It also means you're going to have a lot of magic resistance on that Galio mid that will work against the Akali. The Akali fares pretty well against tanks and in the later part of the game, because Akali has this thing where you buy Gunblade, but she's actually mostly mixed damage. She does magic damage passive, magic damage Q, but then her physical damage is her E and her first R. So that's why you don't see a lot of penetration items on Akali, because she does have a decent amount of physical damage in her kit. The magic damage is the bursty part of it, so you'll typically see things like a Lichbane, things like a Gunblade. Not so much always like an Oblivion Orb or Morello, stuff like that. You will typically go for the Void Staff if you were going to go for a penetration item, and that's a little bit later down the line. But I'm interested in seeing how the Galio plays into it.
Top lane gets hit. Dhokla's been focusing the Yorick. If it fits with a composition nicely, nobody really throws that ban at him as Trundle gets locked away from OpTic Gaming here.
That's the other thing too. You were asking me about this earlier. Can Akali split push? Absolutely. Because Akali is really good at avoiding things. Her E makes it so that she jumps backwards. It's kind of a free targeted dash to get you over walls, except it's reversed like Caitlyn E. And then she also has 2 free targeted dashes with her ultimate. The first one is just the physical damage. It's a little slower. And the second one, you can use 3 seconds later, and then you can jump very quickly. So in order to get out, you have 3 movement abilities, and then you also have the Obscure from her Shroud.
Here's a question I actually didn't get to ask you, because I also haven't seen this mechanic in game. Can she place over wall for her Shroud, E over wall?
Can she E over a wall?
Because her shroud would extend over the wall. She places her shuriken.
The shroud conforms to the terrain. So if there's a wall there,
there you
the
go.
smoke actually just gathers next to the wall and it won't go over it.
I've only seen it in the middle of lanes and fights in the river. So
it's on the ground. It's not in the air.
It's a heavy smoke.
Yeah.
Graves locked in there. Looks like Xmithie's going to get aggressive in the jungle to start things off here. Is Kindred? Yes, is banned. Second ban there on the side of Team Liquid as we get back into the picks.
Ooh.
Dhokla has been having a variety of champions towards the top side, and we'll see if he actually locks in something potential like that. Singed, but they may get Akaadian for now as they give that top a little more thought.
Interesting. The Sejuani here will help out the Akali. It's the physical, or the melee attacks that will help stack up the passive there. The Sejuani is not that great into this composition, to be honest. You can't really nail down the Graves in the early game. He gets to bully you around and dictate what's going on off his lanes. And then catching the Xayah, the big target, with the ultimate will be difficult.
Ooh.
So,
I like it. The Jayce lock-in.
Another split pusher here for Dhokla, which means you're probably going to have to play that lane as this Sejuani. The thing is, if Team Liquid draft themselves a good 2-on-2 with the Graves combined with something else, then it could be really rough for them. Yeah, the Gnar, I'm expecting the Gnar or a tank here. Yeah, Malphite.
Sweet initiation coming in here from Team Liquid. But the ability to dodge that initiation, be proactive, and get into a get out, I should say, of a sticky situation is had by this OpTic team.
Yeah, and so OpTic, a lot of split push here, a lot of setup. They have global ultimate from the Draven. They have a semi-global with the Tahm Kench. So this looks like it would be a 1-3-1 later on in the game instead of fighting. And then Team Liquid, this looks like they're trying to draft against what OpTic have. The Malphite to counter the Jayce, make sure he doesn't just get blasted in the split push, and then the Galio to join the side lanes at any time. And if DoubleLift sticks with this TP, it gives them another way to kind of start fights if they want to. So the Rakan would jump in, the Galio would follow, and that's how they want to start it. So 1-3-1s usually need good disengage. OpTic don't have that in spades here.
I was going to say, does this kind of make sense to you overall? Or have they kind of grabbed more comfort with those picks that they want to make work?
Yeah, I feel like what they've done is they've gone for drafting a 1-3-1 that's more focused on trying to win the lanes and then 1-3-1, whereas TL
definitely speaks for the Draven.
TL have so much engage in this composition. The Galio, the Rakan, and then you throw in a Malphite. Like, we haven't seen a Malphite in a while here in the NALCS. You know, Impact's the one who first brought out that Singed last split, and bringing in the Malphite here to try and bully the Jayce early with Comet, and then make sure that he's slowing attack speed, but that they can have that big impactful ultimate later in the game.
I love it. You play against a good Malphite player, and you just keep getting shards, and then you get the Comet. Always hits you. It's so annoying. We'll have to see how oppressive he is in lane with it. The teleport did stick for DoubleLift, and we have a flash exhaust on that bot side here for Big to start things off. So they may try to get a little aggressive early, or they may just be stopping what pressure could come from that Graves in the jungle if Xmithie decides to go bottom.
Yeah, we'll see where Xmithie goes. Eyes on him and Akaadian in the early parts of this game to see which lanes they play to, because Dhokla on this split pusher and powerOfEvil as well. You kind of want to play to the top mid part of the map here. Xmithie, I think that's a place down of the Ghost portal for him. E-ing over, placing that down. And that actually does give you bonus stats when you're inside the enemy jungle. So he doesn't have to, that bush there, I don't think it actually gives him the extra AD or AP. If you go into the enemy jungle, you'll get it, but that bush just does not count. Get a little bit further. He replaced it. Oh. Right on top of himself. Yeah, it does not give you any extra on that point.
All right, we have Olleh standing by with Zabutein for a quick idea of what's going through OpTic's head.
Thanks, guys. Zabutein, this is the first time we've seen the reworked Akali, and PoE's picking her up. So what is it going to look like today?
So everybody say PoE is not an assassin player, so I think probably everybody was kind of surprised. I think Akali is a very strong pick, and we trained. We had a pretty good record with it, so we decided to try it on stage against Team Liquid because I think that it's a pick that can get quite easily out of control, and we hope so.
And last week, OpTic did break their winning streak. So what was the mentality coming like into this game?
I think every game in NALCS right now is a do or die, whether you're Clutch or Team Liquid. You need to like secure a spot in playoff, and for Team Liquid or the first team, you need to like get the bye, 1 or 2. So I think everybody has the same mentality. It's like killing mentality. You need to come and give your best, because like there is no chance for failure. So that's it.
Well, Zabutein, thank you and good luck. Back to you guys.
very much, Obli, and always great to hear from the coaches. And Zabutin, a guy that loves to think outside the box. So hearing him say we want to try this pick of Akali against Team Liquid, no surprise. This is something the guy would probably love to do. powerOfEvil as well.
Exactly. You can play it safe. You can be defensive, but he's going to look for instead playing that assassin. And I like how he's saying, like, people don't say PoE is an assassin player, so has a great opportunity here to prove it, prove that he can play that.
Well, Xmithie pressure towards bot. I don't think he's going to see Akaadian here. Although they will. A little ward vision.
It's going to be the trade of scuttles.
A little stat for you for a last
Was that
seen Akali.
Was that the boy? Was that when Boy was here?
The boy man.
The boy. That was Boy. It was.
Honestly, when he ended, I remember him for Olaf, to be honest.
I remember.
It is the Akali for sure. Him and West Rice.
Pretty sure that was the game where he got first blood on the Akali.
Oh, yeah, and went ham.
And then they lost it.
Went ham and they lost.
Yep.
That's funny. I remember that. That's not funny. That's sad. Sad.
Yeah.
A little pressure to start here for DoubleLift and Olleh. The memories are flowing now. Big is going to keep Arrow safe. Ooh. Minion hit there.
Yeah, down a lot of CS because the pressure and the fact that the Graves was on the bottom side. That's the thing is, CS will lie to you sometimes because in solo queue, a lot of people don't care about their jungler, much to my dismay. But in professional play, you only get to play up if your jungler is near you, right? So they can't play up because they know Xmithie's on that side for the side of TL. And so OpTic have to seed all of the pressure in the bottom side and play defensive because otherwise you're kind of trolling. And like, you know the jungler was there.
See a bit of a roam here already coming in from powerOfEvil, making sure he has vision, but also doesn't catch where Xmithie is fastest from privy information.
Yeah, throws down, I believe, Ghost Poro as well. Yeah, threw down a ward and Ghost Poro in the same spot just to get it down for the extra stats.
Why not? Build it up. 5-point strikes over and over. Already has 2 levels in that as he's moving up.
Yeah, so you max Q first, then you max W on Akali. The reason you max Q is there's a tied mechanic to it where once you have it as the max rank, it actually gets bonus damage against minions and monsters, so it helps your wave clear. It does about, I think it's 1/3 extra damage against minions and monsters when you max it. So I encourage you to do that. And then the Twilight Shroud, you rank that up because it actually restores energy on cast, and that goes up with rank. So restoring that energy is big for your combination.
Yeah, especially healing.
Yeah. So you lower the cost of 5-point strike. You increase the amount that you regen from using Twilight Shroud, or restore from Twilight Shroud. Whereas the Shuriken Flip is physical damage. It's mostly a gap closer, so you're not going to be using it mostly for damage. It's just to mark them and kind of go back, get your passive, and then come back in.
And visually, when you're watching Akali, she has 200 energy in the yellow bar. 180 will allow that heal to come in from Q. So if you kind of see an Akali waiting to cast a Q, get the upper hand there. It also turned color, so it's a bit easier to identify.
Yeah, she's definitely more energy gated than cooldown gated.
Yeah.
And the way she gets energy back is Twilight Shroud, just passive regen, which I believe is 10 every second, and then also
90 energy.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's your.
Yeah, the 5-point strike costs 5 less every rank.
Right.
So it goes down to 40 or 80. Sorry. And then the Assassin's Mark for passive restores 10, 20, 30 based on your level. So you eventually get to a point where you have a lot going on for you. Hold on, powerOfEvil. He's gonna move back. There's the E.
One. Gets the Shuriken flip back in, and he gets the damage out of Twilight Shroud as he gets the 5-point strike in. Beautifully done by powerOfEvil.
He got the perfect execution there. So he earlier used the first R to close the gap, and the second R is 3 seconds later. So you have to fight them for about 3 seconds.
It's not like old Akali.
Exactly.
You're not just zipping around.
Yeah, you zip around, but in small bits, small bursts there.
You gotta time it very well.
That was really well played, though, from powerOfEvil. Not an assassin player. First blood for him. Last time we saw an Akali, it got first blood, Riv. It's all coming back. There's
Not
the first R.
player, question mark.
Mini stun into the Q,
Shuriken
into the
flip.
E backwards to get the passive, into the passive hit, and then the R #2 for the finish, because it does extra damage based on how much missing HP they have.
And I think a great point to actually get an idea of there is watching powerOfEvil do that. His team couldn't even follow him. So you can see just how fast you can apply that power once you hit level 6. And that was very, very quickly onto Xmithie as he thought he had the upper hand.
Remember when Zabutin was saying it's a pick that can easily get out of control?
It gets crazy, that's what he said, yeah.
She does get out of control.
We're ready.
Once you complete the Gunblade, you have so much regen. It's almost like a drain tank type thing, where because she has so many movement abilities, mini stun R, the obscurity, or the obscure mechanic on the W, she can just kind of take a decent amount of damage at the start, and then she's more backloaded in her damage. She has kind of more consistent DPS, right? And then it ends up having this burst at the end with the final R. So a lot of the time, if you're new to Akali, the R will throw you off because there's a 3-second cooldown between the Rs. So the first one you want to use for the first gap closer, and then you want to just use all your abilities, pretty much just combo them down, throw down an obscure to make sure you can't get like CC'd, and then finish them with the R2. So the R1 is usually the engage or the go button for Akali, and then the R2 is the finish. So you usually want to have about a 3-second skirmish or fight.
It's the, perfect, then the execution.
Because like a lot of times people will R in onto like low HP targets. So I'm like, yeah, maybe you should have R1'd a little earlier, then gotten yourself in an R2, because the R2 is the one that has the damage.
Right, that's where you want to execute.
Yeah. It's also, first R is physical, second R is magic damage. So if you have anything like magic penetration and whatnot, it's just way better on your R2. And it's better when they're lower too.
So many things to think about.
There's a lot on this too. Also, in the lane phase, even though the Q is a 1.5-second cooldown, you want to use it pretty much every 8 seconds or so, unless you're going in. That's the only time you want to dip below like a 80 energy or 100 energy is when you're going all in. Because otherwise, you want to stay in that sweet spot where you get through the laning phase by spamming Qs.
Yeah, you just healed.
When I say spam Qs, I mean you 1 Q every 8 seconds or 10 seconds. So when you have 180 energy, just to keep yourself topped off.
Very hesitant spam.
Yeah.
You see the Shroud actually loses the Twilight or the cover in the middle, so you have to work as Akali while you're in that, making sure you go in and out. You can also extend that Shroud just a little bit from 5 to 8 seconds. Justice flop into the wall as he tries to get back to lane. Xmithie here helping to relieve a bit of pressure if anything follows up.
PoE.
Yeah, a little roam in the jungle.
PoE and Akaadian are in the jungle.
I think Xmithie saw the wave from the bloom?
I'm pretty sure he did. That's the thing where Scryer's bloom feels like it's one-sided in terms of the vision it gives, but it gives two-sided information.
Yeah, for sure.
You get to learn where the person is if you saw where the bloom came from.
As well, if you can see the edge of the bloom, you can then kind of know the cone of what they actually were able to see.
Yeah, but Xmithie is actually doing quite well. We talked about how he got behind previously on Kindred. He's up in CS against Akaadian. He gave up first blood over to powerOfEvil, and the person who's feeling that is Pobelter. It's not so much Xmithie right now. It's kind of Pobelter's problem to tank what happened.
A little bit more aggressive with his picks. We've seen him on the Malzahar, locking in the Galio for his team. Oh, he's a versatile player. Ooh, nicely dodged away. No quickness flash coming in from Olleh. Is OpTic fast with the fingers.
Yep, making sure that they don't get caught. That's your job as his bottom lane. If they're playing a PoE and Dhokla, just do not get caught. The Tahm Kench is for that as well, to make sure that they can't be engaged on. So the draft is actually well-rounded here from the side of OpTic. And also, giving blue to Akali is not troll. It gives energy regen.
It does give energy regen.
You actually should give it to her. It makes it fantastic. Instead of getting 5 every half second, she gets 8 every half second.
You know, back in the day, I ran those runes. Don't do that.
Oh.
Energy rune.
Yeah.
Thought it'd be super cool on Kennen.
Yeah. On Kennen, I didn't think it was that great because you can
you don't really need to
stun
gate
multiple
it,
people,
right? You just usually have enough energy.
Yeah. I don't think Kennen's like cooldowns were like short enough to warrant it.
That's funny. No longer, though.
Yep.
Rift Herald picked up here for Akaadian as they back that. Pressure is going to allow an Infernal here for TL. High damage team is going to love a little bit extra damage. Won't do much early, but they may be able to help a little bit later. Push in from powerOfEvil as he keeps himself safe. 115 to 110. As you expect Galio to fall behind a few CS, just kind of AoE wave clearing at the turret.
Yeah, just trying to stay safe, but I think Pobelter's job in this composition is to make sure he just doesn't get destroyed by powerOfEvil, and then he tries to contain him as much as possible.
Yeah.
The fights will most likely go in favor of TL because of the fact that their composition is a little bit better built for team fighting and avoiding and engaging, and OpTic's is more split pushy. So if you can have powerOfEvil kind of be held down by Pobelter, then he's done his job. But also you have to worry later in the game, the Sejuani against a full physical damage composition. I think Xmithie will probably go Black Cleaver as maybe his second or third item here, just to kind of deal with that possibility, because it's an all physical damage comp, save for Pobelter, who I think... Hold on, powerOfEvil spots.
Oh, was going to be ships in the night, but not this time. Dhokla is in, and Pobelter comes in for a little bit of assistance towards that top side. Dhokla dives a little too early. The Rift Herald is going to come up for them, as they say. We'll get a little something back.
Yeah, so
for OpTic.
Akaadian throws that one down, but they did get there faster with the Hero's entrance. And made it so that, nope, Dhokla caught up in that.
Oh, whoopsie.
Yep. And it looks like he's gone for Bilgewater Cutlass just so he has some sustain in the lane. It actually feels really bad when your opponent builds Bramble Vest and then you're kind of pushed out of the game. So has that for the lifesteal, and now he's going for the Black Cleaver because he's going to need it against this big Malphite.
You're always just taking the Qs all day. He's like, let me get some of that health back.
Yeah.
It's good that you don't let those things kind of deter your mentality in lane. Here, Dhokla will see goes a little too early. When was it?
He just walked up too early.
Engaged on immediately.
They found
Xmithie. They didn't really
and
return damage.
Yeah, Xmithie almost gets dropped there. That's the thing is, like I said, the 3 seconds between the execute, or the second R, so powerOfEvil couldn't really jump in that quickly. And I also think he didn't go back and complete his Gunblade by then, or else there would have been an active behind that that would have had a lot of damage. So, but the Gunblade is completed. It's a very early item, Power Spike here for powerOfEvil, who, on the Akali, because she's a melee champion, she gets bullied in the lane phase by range champions. The Galio is not going to bully you during the lane phase. And the fact that he got first blood just means he's going to be able to regen. You saw, instead of going for the revolver, he went for the Bilgewater Cutlass, just kept his CS up above the 10 per minute mark. And powerOfEvil is in a position where the Akali is good to go.
It was kind of the fights we were talking about a little later. You don't see too many of. You kind of get it from a Darius with a stand your ground fight. So you're like, oh, she's going to die, but then she gets back 100 health. A few more hits. Oh, wait, there's 300 health. And you're like, why isn't she dying? You used to get that out of Cassiopeia as well, and you just continue to stand your ground. I love those kind of fights.
Yeah, because right now, the Q has a AD and AP ratio on both the damage and the healing part of it. So when he throws out the Q and he's near full energy, he's going to get about 110 HP back, and then he's going to have the damage from the Gunblade actually come in and count towards that, or the healing part of the Gunblade. So not only is he just getting the base heal from the Q, he's also double dipping on that ability with the Vamp. That is how it works.
Little lock up, charged up. He already had the channel going. Taunt's going to keep a bit of damage off of powerOfEvil. Attacks one. As he decided to go in for the next one, he does not. Even with Arrow and Big coming in the Abyssal Voyage, Pobelter just punched Arrow. The Taunt's going to come in. Impact hits in hard with the Unstoppable Force, and they're going to be able to charm up very quick and take down Arrow. Big falls fast just after. And Team Liquid continues to clean up on these fights. They're not there, and then in the blink of an eye, the entire team comes out of the woodwork.
Yep, that's one tanky boy there for Pobelter. Takes a lot of damage, and he doesn't even go down, and then everybody just reinforces. You saw PoE was trying to engage. Arrow just walks around, wrong part of the neighborhood. They all just engage on him immediately.
Interesting. I was wondering what the Draven pick was for, but looks like Arrow just wants to chunk people out. Hope powerOfEvil can kill someone. Bloodthirster first for him. They're just using this Draven to go BAM!
Yeah,
and you kill this person.
Exactly. And he has Conqueror as well.
Ace or Predator replay.
Yep, Ace Predator replay. Pobelter gets out way better position there than if he had been stunned right before that. And so now Big and Arrow are out of position because they can't contribute in damage.
Yeah.
So if Pobelter didn't get that E off, he would have been pretty far behind. So Arrow doesn't have flash. It's up in about 10 seconds, you can see at the bottom. And Big can't eat him. Instead, he eats Akaadian.
Yeah.
Don't even know if he was in range to get him there. Maybe flash, gobble, but still, Arrow dies, Big dies, and that sets up TL to now have 3 kills and play off that engage.
You're a good call on Conqueror, though, for Draven. Doesn't want to stay in that fight.
Yeah.
Keep that timing going.
Well, Conqueror is, it only refreshes for melee champions, right? When you stay in combat, it gives you the initial, and then it gives you that extra true damage on it and AD. But that's why it's like, there's incentive to take it on melee champions, and it's de-incentivized to take it on range champions. But Draven, you can take like Glacial Augment on him. There's a lot of different ones you can, but here it's just focused on what's going to happen later in the game. Probably going to be worrying about the Malphite and dealing damage to him.
I would. That Unstoppable Force is going to be going right for Arrow, if not Big, if they're combined with each other. Make sure they take down the Savior or the damage. Oh, remember, with that win, Team Liquid can clinch playoffs with a victory here, and it looks like they're trying to add pressure the entire time, never releasing or giving up a chance. That playoff spot might slide out of view. Pobelter in a 2v1. Looks like he'll get a 2v2 in a second. Is a very fast stun and impact. That was Glacial Prison immediately means they used a lot in defense. powerOfEvil goes down, and now it's going to be Arrow and Big running for the hills. As OpTic cannot take these fights. They look to start or gain vision, and Team Liquid instantly engages each time.
Yeah, I actually think he caught powerOfEvil in his R. I think powerOfEvil was trying to R away, and the Unstoppable Force just barely caught him. So TOE was definitely trying to disengage and run to Akaadian, but it was just really quick there. That Impact saw him as soon as he was out of the Shroud, jumped right on him. They snap engage, and that's what you're looking for from this composition.
So many tanks, too. They're just taking so many shots. Arrow on Draven. Draven not the best turret taker. Can't really focus and stand still, so they don't get too many shots on that. A good bit of damage from the entire team, but the resources OpTic has to use right now, they're hoping they could be better used across the map. Still trying to take this mid turret down. It looks like they'll get it with the help of Olleh. That pressure there from OpTic means we need some gold. Let's get it now.
Want to open up this mid lane?
So slow.
Remember, the wave clear here for Team Liquid is pretty much just Galio, and then when you don't have good wave clear, your side lanes start collapsing. And you have to rely on the engage. I love watching 1-3-1 compositions versus team fighting comps, because the 1-3-1 wants to pull you apart. The team fighting wants to find the windows where they can quickly make something happen. powerOfEvil hugged the
Oh, God.
Ooh, didn't get it.
So close. I feel like he took an extra second. But it's okay. Xmithie feels good he got that, but they have knowledge of where powerOfEvil is. Mid lane's going to clear this out. And I'm just looking at Liquid's composition again. Impact, knock up, Pobelter, knock up, Olleh, knock up.
Want a Yasuo?
Hardly anything here can be even Quicksilver sashed if you want to, and powerOfEvil grabbed one.
It's the taunt.
Like, yeah, the taunts will work, right? It's what you're trying to get out of, but a lot of this stuff just keeps you in the air. I love the composition for that fact.
And even just QSSing, like, you can QSS knockups. So you
Yeah,
get
yeah.
knocked
You hit and you're out of there,
and,
right?
And she has
Hit the
movement
ground.
abilities. So I'm pretty sure, like, you QSS Flash, but you can also QSS, and I believe cast her Rs, and I believe her E. Maybe the W to just put down Obscuring Smoke immediately. I actually have not tested that. But yeah, movement abilities will get you out of knockups after you QSS.
Gotta be fast.
Yeah, gotta be really fast, and that's, well, it's kind of what it demands. It's a high execution champion, and now he's going to have even quicker fingers because he's got multiple actives here.
Another thing about picks, like especially when they're changed for Akali, if a team in this situation, like OpTic, trying to advance, does get wins with this. This is a ban that they pick up. This is a ban that teams have to recognize. As of right now, powerOfEvil having a middle ground game, but could still pop off. Sabatine says if it gets crazy, it gets crazy. I think Team Liquid has figured out how to temper that craziness stuff.
Yeah. You gotta watch for when the collapses come through from OpTic, though, because that's when they want things to get a little crazy for them and put you in a panic. Right now, Dhokla, Black Cleaver, kind of chunking away at this turret, chipping away at it slowly. You can see TL are going to reinforce bottom side. He has to back up because they don't have vision, and that means powerOfEvil gets to shove out the top side of the map. And Pobelter has to pay attention.
Here we go.
Back up.
See if they can get that split push going. And the yo-yo the majority of the team in and out, and try and create enough offense to make it look good for powerOfEvil. See Impact and Dhokla easily going back and forth, 212 to 178. This is a little bit easier for, obviously, Dhokla to farm it up in that lane, and we've seen Impact 202. He's been in quite a few fights, participating in all four.
It was the dive top lane and then the mid lane
Yep.
fights on top of that. So yeah, 100% KP for
Same
him.
with Pobelter.
As well as
These guys are
Pobelter.
mobile.
His DoubleLift, it's, no, I wouldn't say slacking. He's the one who's, you're supposed to show up to the fight last anyway. Other people have TP, jungler roams, you know, support's supposed to be going elsewhere. You just need to farm. That's your job. Just farm up, make sure you're good to go. And yeah, Impact, Sunfire Cape. You don't see Sunfire Cape a whole bunch anymore on a lot of champions. It's like Malphite, Poppy, some grasp users that want to run in the lane, but this is mostly for enhancing his wave clear so that he can keep the Jayce away from this turret as long as possible. But I think it might be Bramble Vest next for him.
I miss the days of stacking capes.
Oh, like Garen.
Stacking cape
Evelyn.
or kills from death cape when your Sunfire cape still burned after you were dead.
Ooh,
And you picked up damage.
I don't miss that.
It felt such hidden power feels bad.
This
You're like,
Garen's
hey,
body.
that
It
worked.
killed everyone. It's a funeral pyre build.
some of the changes were good. I promise.
Yeah, it's true. I actually think back and I'm like, wow, there have been a lot of good changes. Like I was like, oh,
Hell yeah.
trinkets actually feel really nice. Remember back when everybody started boots and a ton of potions?
Yeah, up to 5.
Remember when boots were necessary because they gave 50 movement speed instead of 25, and then everybody's movement speed got increased by 25? Yeah. It's like, makes sense. Anyway.
And then you had Zoe.
No,
I'm just
why'd you have to
kidding.
do it? You ruined a great thing.
4-1, 22.5 minutes here. It's been kind of a lull. Once OpTic said, hey, TL is countering everything we're trying to do. Let's see if they want to pressure. It's been kind of TL now pushing in mid, OpTic being patient. I think this patient is going to come down to a ward war. Who is going to attack first? Xmithie knows about patience. Like we said, he talked about it earlier. He said, if things are going bad, things are going good. Patience is kind of one of the things that I have as a leader in this veteran brain. And that's what our team uses to great effect.
And interesting, I'm looking at kind of the build here. Oh, tried to counter. Yeah.
Missaru.
Tried to counter engage, and I'm looking at kind of what's going on, because it's now a 3-man squad versus a 3-man squad in the mid lane, and then it's just the side lanes here. Dhokla doesn't really want to hit Impact as much as he wants to hit the turret, because now Impact has so much armor. Basically 3 armor items. Yeah, the Bramble Vest, actually, yeah.
Ow.
He already used the ultimate, and Xmithie's coming down. Dhokla,
These fights last forever when you're against Malphite. Ooh, he could have stolen the accelerated speed. Nice by Big and Arrow.
That's
maybe a little too much in the resource side after the play was over. It seems like Dhokla maybe should have said, hey, we don't need this anymore. Now they're going to lose mid-turret. What a scatter by OpTic there to finally break what we had been a back-and-forth chess game in middle.
But I love that from Xmithie, because
For sure.
you don't know if they wouldn't have used the Tahm Kench ultimate if they didn't think he was getting ganked. So
That's true.
yeah, as soon as they saw Xmithie, it was like, we have to go, and so they have to commit to it. And Xmithie doesn't commit to it, he backs off, and then there's 3 versus 1 in the mid lane, or 4 versus 1, because they brought down Pobelter from the top side, who's building full AP, by the way. He's saying, this is not going to be a composition that's over-indexed on physical damage versus a Sejuani.
Yeah.
They're going to have a lot of magic damage here from him if he gets his combo off.
Good damage from Dhokla as Impact just stays. He knew he was backing, so gets those minions for himself as we look around the inventories. A few more core items being brought up. 2 now for bots.
powerOfEvil, full Mercurial Scimitar.
Yeah. Going fast. So he actually wanted a little bit of damage in there. Even saying, hey, we have AD, but I'm going to go ahead and hybrid this one out.
Yeah. A lot of the time, like I said, you don't really need like penetration items, but a lot of the time you'll see things like the Zonias to make sure that you have more survivability in fights. Very interesting, actually, to see that he went for that. I'm going to check it really quickly because there were changes to it where Mercurial Scimitar now costs less gold and has 15 less attack damage on it.
Heck yeah. Maybe we can get Mark to talk about it. He's going to be doing a test for a station for Akali after this. So if he can check that out and be like, why is this good?
Okay.
Mr. Z?
Bonus Akali tip. So you know, sometimes you're
so excited.
Sometimes you're waiting for like 5 extra gold in the fountain. What you do is you walk out of the fountain, place your shroud down like 10 feet away from the fountain, E to it, back up into the fountain,
Get your gold.
and then get your gold, buy the item, and then press E again, and you're back out there. So you can use the shroud as kind of a setup to get out of the base 2 seconds faster. So
Seems like a lot of work.
shout out to Box. Saw him do that one.
With his controller.
No, he doesn't. Not anymore. if he did that with Akali, it'd be impressive.
So the potential here for, obviously TL's looking good for playoffs, but OpTic can kind of snuff that by on TL here. So that would feel pretty good for them, as well as move OpTic up in the standings. 7-7, a pretty good spot for them to be in after that first half being so difficult for them with only 3 wins and then having 4 straight here in the back half of the summer. So finding a bit of a surge there, OpTic feeling much better. And Dhokla was able to be a pretty big catalyst in that, with the team understanding side play, just kind of bringing out a few of his own picks. So it's kind of like they've said, hey, everybody, you need to do your part as we come together here towards the end of the split. And OpTic has been seeing the light.
Yep. And OpTic's 1-3-1 has been great at kind of pulling teams apart, but TL are now doing a great job of playing to their side lane.
They're able to read it.
Yeah, you're not seeing that same pressure from Dhokla, who's now forced to go for a Last Whisper as his 2.5 item here. This is to check the Baron.
Whirling blades. And they're coming back.
Get
All the way
back.
off.
Ooh. I actually like that Akali skin a lot.
It looks like Kindred. Not gonna lie.
Oh. Flaming Kindred, yeah.
Quick cleanup. Oh, nice gold. Always feels good to be able to get a whole plethora of wards when you head out through with your sweeper. We'll see what kind of inventories we have now. Not even a final item. More Quicksilver Sash, though, for OpTic side, so they can continuously keep themselves safe. Definitely for Big. He wants to be able to find Arrow and keep him safe. All this damage, unstoppable force, dodged out with a flash. Definitely coming up before that cooldown will be up for Dhokla. And that is now going in Impact's favor quite quick.
Yeah, and that's kind of the issue you run into when you don't have a strong 2-on-2, where Dhokla is not ahead of Impact in a meaningful way. Impact got killed.
Even 30, 40 CS?
Yeah, he's 40 CS up, but the tank items are a little easier to get in inventory. And I think the other thing, too, is he just got these kills. So I would say their gold is actually pretty similar, / Impact is ahead, also has 2 Infernal Drakes and an Ocean. So it makes it easier for him to survive this. And when you pick something like Sejuani and you aren't using it to dive or using it to force the issue, because we saw it kind of backfire on the top side, then your Jayce is a champion that needs an investment, but once you go and give that investment, he's going to pop off or at least control the side lane. But Xmithie was there. Xmithie controlled it and used the great advantage.
Quick,
hold on.
DoubleLift, Feather Storm out. It looks like the entrance from Pobelter is going to knock up a few here. They get onto a very low Power of Evil and Akaadian as Akaadian falls. And now they seem to be able to get themselves to safety. The bot lane fight not going too back and forth between Impact and Dhokla, but do keep those teleports at bay from entering the fight.
Yeah, sometimes you end up using your ultimate to engage and try to snap engage off somebody, but DoubleLift able to get out of that. You can see the QSS was used. I don't know if it was used right immediately. See it one more time in the replay. Yeah, but good heads up from him, because the thing that stops you from having the 1-3-1 kind of pull you apart is you got to engage, but make sure you don't get engaged on too. So QSS plus the ultimate for DoubleLift, frustrating the combo to play against. Right here, TL throwing down the gauntlet. They say Impact is here. Impact has engaged. They're forcing the 1-3-1 composition to group up and team fight them by starting the Baron. This is really well done here from TL, and they're looking to turn or finish it. They're kind of entertaining both options here. There's no chance of a steal.
It's going to have to be finished now, especially with the jungler coming in. The taunt's going to keep them at bay, whereas the damage shock blast not accelerated, and it's a smite from Xmithie to take it down. Akaadian with Glacial Prison. 3/4 on cooldown, but they're still going in for the fight. Impact and Olleh's in with a grand entrance, and OpTic has to just close their eyes with the incoming damage. Power of Evil trying to turn a bit of damage back to deter the fight. But Big devours. Can he spit him out far enough? And will they go down? It looks like Big will still be chased, but the gray health keeps him alive for just a second. Olleh cannot get in far enough. And Team Liquid get Baron and come out on top of the fight.
Yeah, they're pretty tanky right now. Team Liquid able to tank up the Baron, have the engage come afterwards, and because they had killed Akaadian, 1 member down, they said, all right, we're forcing the composition that is not suited to fight us to force a fight onto us or give up the Baron and try to get something in return. OpTic said no, they'll fight for it, and they end up losing 2.
This Team Liquid composition is good offense and in retreat, because we see what the retreat looks like right here when they want to engage.
Yeah, it looks like DoubleLift is kind of the person they want to pick on here. The Baron goes down, they're kind of getting down.
All right, retreat.
Yeah, but then you see right here, Olleh and Impact ready to bam. They both go in. That was simultaneous. Impact hits the front line.
Yeah.
And you saw Olleh hits the back line at the same time. That is very clean in terms of turning right now. Team Liquid very decisive.
Clean up a little bit more of that fight. Not any more kills, but lane pressure. And they were able to take down that second tier top turret, as you see. And now Team Liquid starts to encroach that vision very deep into the side of OpTic's jungle. Able to clear out quite a few wards as well. Olleh, he'll get to safety here in the shield as he needs to.
Yeah, and Team Liquid just,
oh man, they don't even care.
Rolling the Drakes, walking straight up. Yep, strolling through. I mean, they have the Baron buff. Time is of the essence to use this.
That's true.
DoubleLift is pushing the bottom side of the map. Big's going to go for an engage, and they're looking for Pobelter.
On to Pobelter. A lot of damage now from Power of Evil as a Void Staff quickly finished up in his inventory before he even gets the boots done. It killed there. On to Dhokla quickly. It's going to quickly as well be Big down, and even faster in that sense. Minions pushing down into the mid lane. And it looks like Arrow's forced to back off. Same kind of a mirror here from powerOfEvil. They're not even close to helping defend the base.
Yeah, OpTic don't have enough damage to collapse and kill either Pobelter or Impact fast enough for everybody else to get there. You saw DoubleLift TP in. Impact was able to get the ultimate off, and it's just so fast at how they pull the trigger here. They're going to try to end the game 32 minutes in.
Olleh in, Olleh out. No ulti coming in, however, from Pobelter. He just wants to get the taunt down. 3v2 situation. So 3v5. As the party is continuing here for Team Liquid, as they are able to take down Akaadian and the rest of the team. powerOfEvil says, walk this way. Xmithie just misses collateral as they get the last few hits on the turret. Who pulls the gold into their pocket? It's going to be DoubleLift to get that extra gold, and Liquid lock in a playoff bye.
And the Spring Split champions will have a chance to defend their title in the summer playoffs.
Gotta feel good. A pretty surgy season all around. A few here and there's that we're able to identify problems in a lane, but Team Liquid was able to shore up those instances and come out strong. Now looking at a 6-game win streak in the back half of the summer split.
Yep, and then they have the teams that are right around them with 100 Thieves right below, Echo Fox as well, and TSM are their last 3 remaining games.
Yeah.
They've locked a playoff spot. They win one more, they lock a playoff bye. Especially if they're taking down 100 Thieves in that match, they will lock a playoff bye for themselves.
A lot of teams as well are looking at OpTic's schedule to say that's our position to jump into. TSM sitting back there, Logic Gaming, who suffered a loss today. Much need to find these wins for OpTic, who, like we said, has one of the toughest schedules. This will not be easy, and we already
They
saw
have the toughest.
They try to pull out something here and kind of turn that schedule on its head for themselves. Team Liquid was still able to bite back.
Yeah, Team Liquid able to not fall into the 1-3-1, the split push that we've been seeing,
Right.
kind of backdoor people's bases, pull them apart with things like split push Gnar or Jayce. Here, though, it was quick team fighting, force objectives, force them to fight you. And that's exactly what you want to see from a team that's going to be representing the championship in the playoffs.
That's right. For more on how Team Liquid secured their spot in the playoff, let's hand it back off to Avali and the victorious mid laner.
Thanks, guys. Pobelter, congratulations on being the first team to lock in for a playoff spot this split. I mean, and you guys are also just 1 win away from securing a bye. So how motivated are you guys to pick that up?
Oh, I didn't even know we were 1 win away from securing a bye, but that's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna try really hard to win, get that bye.
And I wanted to ask you, you played against PoE's Akali today, a kind of a surprise pick for us. What did you think about it?
Yeah, heading into the match, at the start I was like, there's no way he's gonna play Akali because he always plays champions like Orianna Syndra, and then DoubleLift was like, no, remember he played Talon a lot too, so it was kind of like up in the air whether or not he would play it, and then I actually didn't have that much practice against it, but I think I was able to put up pretty good performance against it, and then I think just as more time goes on, I'll understand more what the champion does, because some of it is still like pretty confusing what she does, and yeah.
Do you think we'll see more of her this weekend?
Akali feels a little OP when I played it, so probably, but she has some, I don't know, I feel like she has some really strong strengths. Like at 6, she can pretty much 100-0 any squishy in the game, like legit no counterplay, and she has so much mobility too, but she can also have moments where she's really useless, like I think Galio was a pretty good pick against it.
Today I learned Akali is OP, but Team Liquid is still leading the pack right now at first. So what's it going to take for you guys to pull off these back-to-back championships?
I don't know, win?
Win and what else? Tell me more.
Practice hard.
All right, he's going to practice hard and he's going to win. Maybe the analyst desk can break it down a little bit more for us. Thank you.
If only I knew it was that easy to win a championship. Either way, Team Liquid coming away with a big victory here. We got our first Akali of the North American LCS, and although it did fall down in defeat, I do want to dive into this pick because it's seen a lot of prevalence in the European LCS, both as picks and it's hit the ban table multiple times. So we did pull a replay. The first blood picked up by Akali, powerOfEvil piloting this one.
Yeah, and there's one thing about being level 6. There's the other thing about the guy you're hitting being level 4, so his health pool is not that big. But he obviously gets the first dash in, gets the stun, Qs, E's to reset his passive, jumps back in, and then he still has R2, gets an energy refund by putting down a Shroud, and executes. There was a moment there where he could have gotten one more passive in there, but that's very complex, and that would take like an Akali expert to break down.
Right.
Someone like
I don't know.
Mugg
Do we have one of those?
who is perfect at the champion.
Excuse me, do we have anyone in the building who's really good at Akali?
I might have the mind for it, but definitely not the mechanics, but hopefully I can at least show some stuff on Akali. It was played a lot in the Challenger series. A lot of the Challenger pros Academy pros think that she is broken, and there were a lot of games of it last night. Some of them looked more practiced than others, and I want to point out a couple things that I saw. One of the more interesting ones is in a squishier matchup where you want to harass people. I saw a lot of what Golden Glue was doing was pretty different than what a lot of other pros try and do. So a lot of people try and snipe with the E, and then they use it, and it gets you a free passive proc. The passive, of course, is its a little ring. When you go outside, it empowers your next auto attack, and then it'll do more damage and refresh your energy. And so, like I said, a lot of people, what they try and do is they snipe with the E and go in and yada, yada, yada. What was very interesting, what Golden Glue was doing was in squishier matchups where he didn't care and he was just trying to get an initial harass down, he would simply E backwards Q and then W like that and get the proc, go back in and Q and use the obscure passive to move in and out and avoid getting traded back on. And I thought that was a really interesting thing where not many people are doing that I see, and it actually makes the trading pattern a lot more consistent because when you're not against a target dummy who's actually going to dodge, landing this E can be a little bit difficult, but the E backwards Q is pretty much instant auto and you get an instant passive proc off. So you can use that to harass people before going for the all-in. You probably need the E to kill in an all-in like we saw PoE do, and he is obviously an expert at this, but that's just one of the small trading mechanics. Another one that I wish I had more time to set up with, but it's a little hard without pausing the game, is that the way the turret works with your Shroud is that you can usually pop in and out visibly. If there's a minion there that has aggro beforehand, before the turret actually grabs the aggro on you, you can get a harass in and you'll never take turret shots. So if you ever know where the enemy jungler is and you have the wave pushed in, you can actually abuse that pretty hard. Unfortunately, no minions here to help me show that one off, but keep an eye out for it. Those are two things that I found very interesting from the first week of watching Akali, and hopefully some of you guys can take into solo queue.
I was most impressed that you have the hotkey control in practice tool. Like, that's what was impressive for Mark.
Oh, I don't have a chair.
I see you coming.
Yeah. All right, I'm going back over here. Never mind, guys.
Go play more college.
Yeah, I'll go play more college.
I'm gonna be honest. I was waiting for Golden Glue to come walking out behind the curtain or something there because those mechanics look too clean. It's an interesting thought again, and I love to see the ingenuity of top-level players, pro players who look at a kit and they say, there's the obvious way of using this kit, which is, hey, I'm gonna E in a forward direction and then use it to gap close back to you, or I can use it as in what feels like a crazy, obscure way to use it to close a gap and make, as Mark said, more efficient trading.
Exactly, and as Pobelter said, he also didn't really know what to do against it. I was talking to some Academy players and some pros backstage during that game, and most of them were saying, we've played 3 games of it, 4 games on it. Most guys had about 2 days before the start of the weekend where they realized it was good.
Right.
So it's super raw what these guys are practicing on Akali, going in with not that much practice. And that's why I like that OpTic did it, because PoE thought he had a pretty good handle on the champion, and the fact that Pobelter had a pretty good pick into it in Galio is a risk that I think was worth taking for OpTic.
I was going to say, it also speaks to me just as an OpTic pick based on the way that they've been choosing to play most recently from a strategic point of view. We have seen them indexing into the 4-1 split push where Dhokla's the man charged with setting up the side lane pressure. This time around, looking at that 1-3-1. So continuing down the rabbit hole of the split push, but diversifying a little bit. Of course, you're doing this against the #1 team in the league, and that's where I want to close this conversation is Team Liquid now, again, keeping that separation, locking in their playoff, berth, rather, still looking for that bye. They look good, and they looked good in stuffing a brand new pick and strategy.
They look really good. I think stylistically, for OpTic, Team Liquid is one of their worst matchups because Team Liquid is the best team at grouping up and playing the whole map and communicating. So that's usually what 1-3-1s are looking to abuse, is teams that aren't good at that, as well as having good individual players. So this really just sets up, to me, Dash, that Team Liquid, who's on a 6-game winning streak against 100 Thieves, the winner of that one puts themselves...
That's tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, in case you were wondering.
In position, like, we were talking earlier, maybe Team Liquid is theoretically like a better version of 100 Thieves, but it's hard to say because of how well 100 Thieves has actually been performing post-raid and the win streak that Team Liquid's been on.
And then you look at Cloud9, who's snuck themselves into 4th place. Of course, FlyQuest is our last game of the day today, so that's why they're sitting at 7-7. And then TSM, with this OpTic loss, Boom, tied for 6. So again, this, while the top of the standing seems to be a little bit more solidified in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, man, that's going to come down to the wire.
Yeah, and we looked at the strength of schedule for all those teams in that clump at the start of the day. OpTic had the hardest schedule. COG had a hard schedule. The easiest schedule was FlyQuest. And they're the team that needs to win now to keep their position in the playoffs. Otherwise, there's going to be a 3-way tie for 5th, which leaves them potentially on the outside. So that's big that they need to take care of business.
Easiest strength of schedule. We have our first team locking in a playoff spot. We're going to see if Clutch Gaming or FlyQuest can push the limits here and make their run towards the postseason after this.